What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Profiling Passionate People. I'm your host, Salman Ladvinka. Today, we've already talked about my Titans, but we're going to dive into week one of the NFL season. And I got my special guest today, Louis Zuniga. Thank you for joining me again. If
My
you guys
boy.
haven't seen, Dallas Cowboy fan, I threw on my Eddie George, and I was on a Hawaiian island, so thankfully no more backgrounds anymore. We're straight into the point now. So we're going to talk about this week one and just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. But obviously the Thursday night matchup, we got the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on your Dallas Cowboys. And just starting off, man, how you feeling? And I mean, we're on the eve of NFL football again.
Hey, man, start off, you know what I mean? Like, NFL football's back, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hyped. We were just talking right before starting this about, my football season with my team, you know what I mean? And
East Valley.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Get my Dallas Cowboys on a Thursday. It's my day off. It's football eve for me for my season. I'm hyped. Now, will Tom Brady and Tampa ruin my night? They just might. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that right now. We'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I got to keep it as realistic as possible. And I do see Tampa winning this one. And the main reason I say that is because of Zach Martin going down. And I mean, this bull rush of a defense that Tampa Bay does possess, it is scary. This offensive line, plugging in that new guard, it's to be determined. Dak coming off of, season-ending injury last year as well. He didn't get any preseason snaps, so he needs to vibe it out and see how he feels with game time football. So let me hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you brought up Zach Martin first, because I don't know if you remember our last conversation, I talked about Zach Martin and the importance of our offensive line staying healthy.
Yeah.
Granted, this is something that's, out of his control. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's been known that he's fully vaccinated. He's taken his precautions. It's just an unfortunate situation. I kept cracking up. I believe it was yesterday when Jerry went on First Take and said he's still holding out for 2 negative tests for him by tomorrow so he can play. Now he comes back and he plays. I mean, that's a different offensive line. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Because now you get your 2 starting tackles back in Tyron and Leo Collins back. You get Zach Martin in there, who's arguably going to be not even arguably, like, he's for sure going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he was part of the All-Decade team. I think he's a 6-time All-Pro. Like, he's going to the Hall of Fame for sure.
I believe it was Booger McFarland on NFL Network or NFL Live that said he's the Patrick Mahomes of guards right now, and that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's him and an old boy out at Indianapolis. I forget his name. Left guard.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but if it's
Indianapolis, it'll come back to me. Hey, but that boy's
good though
too. But yeah, for sure. But Zach Martin, man, he's a huge blow. I'm curious to see how Zeke's going to play, because he didn't get any touches either. I love that he lost weight. I think he said he's his lowest he's been since his last year at Ohio State. So I'm excited about that. Dak, I'm excited, but I am a little nervous. And I'm only nervous because he hasn't gotten enough reps with the first team offense.
Yeah.
But then again, you know what I mean? Like, he's played with Gallup before. He's played with Cooper before. Yeah. He's played with CD before. He's played with Zeke before. Yeah, to an extent for sure. He's played with Zeke. He's had basically the same offensive line, with the exception really of the center and the right guard with Zach Martin out.
Yeah.
The same tight ends, he's played with them. So he has that continuity, and he knows where they like the ball. He knows what their strengths are versus what their weaknesses are.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, hey, we have a great offense. Our offense is it's the highlight of our team for sure. Our defense still worries me. That secondary worries me. Tom Brady worries me because of our secondary. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see Micah Parsons.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are going to use this game if the Cowboys lose as an over exaggeration, like, oh my God, they're so terrible. But I mean, hey, there's no shame in losing to the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
There's no shame in losing to the defending Super Bowl champions who retained pretty much everybody they wanted to retain.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that. Like, this is the way I look at this. This is a measuring stick. If you go
Yeah.
out and you lose, I mean, hey, you lose to defending champs, but you know what you need to do to get better, and there's only one way up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if the Cowboys come out and win, I'm not gonna overreact and say, hey, Dallas is winning the Super Bowl this year. No, because it's a long, long season. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of fans after week one, they'll start, you know how it is. Like,
Of
maybe I'll do it
course.
just to troll people, but not on a serious note. But I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I'm looking forward to seeing how the team reacts, and especially early on in the season when you play a tough opponent like that, it always reveals your team's character.
Oh,
It's one
definitely.
thing if we're getting gashed, you know what I mean, and guys are just putting their heads down, moping around, causing a ruckus on the sidelines, not running hard. You know, that I can't deal with that. You know, as a fan and as a coach, you can't deal with that. If you're
True.
just getting your ass kicked, you know what I mean, but you're still out there running, you're still trying to make the play. You know,
Giving
all
it your
11
all.
helmets are all 11 helmets to the football. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't ask for more. The other team is just better. They're just better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that's where we have to set the bar. Like, okay, we're coming in here trying to take out the defending champs, but that's just one game.
Yep.
You're still gonna have, what is it now, 16 more games after that.
Yeah.
So
And that's what we were
gotta
talking
build.
about. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about when I had you on the first time, is the fact that should you guys win, should you guys lose, you're going to either be 1-0 or 0-1 with 16, 17 more games to go. So,
Yeah.
yes, it'll be nice for a nice kickoff. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of dust that needs to be blown off on both sides. But yeah, you do look at Tampa Bay. They are favored in this game, in my opinion, just because, they are returning, all 11 on both sides of the ball. You do got Tom Brady, who is the greatest of all time, and who should ever win or lose. Again, it's the first game of the year, and it's not going to define, their Super Bowl odds of who's going to take it all. So,
Exactly.
so
And you still have six games within your division. So at the end of
true.
the day, you can lose every other game outside of your division, but if you win your division, you got a playoff spot.
Yep. And
You know what I mean?
I mean, we know how the NFC East has been lately, and obviously Washington sneaking in with that 7-9 record last year. But like you said, it gets
That's
it
who I'm
done.
worried about in the division. That's who
Yeah.
I'm worried about.
Yeah, we'll talk about them in a second. But okay, let's say as it's slated to be, Zach Martin's not playing. Predicted score:
Tampa 30-17.
30-17. Okay.
Yeah, I think without Zach, we're gonna struggle to run the football. And we're gonna be forced to force feed the ball into receivers' hands.
Yeah.
And I just think that Tampa has a really good defense that will cause some turnovers, whether it's on a tip pass, timing just being off a little bit. Again, we talked about Dak not getting those first team reps all summer long, dealing with that shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be an issue for us. But again, this isn't going to be a Cowboys are going to a Super Bowl or the Cowboys suck. This is going to be, okay,
Defining game.
this is where we're at. This is where we need to be.
Yeah.
Just a measuring stick, really. That's what I look forward to. Like, I think we play the Chiefs later this year.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's a great team with arguably the greatest quarterback right now in the league.
Being molded. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's competition that you look forward to, because if you do end up making it to the NFC Championship game, in all likelihood, you're going to see one or two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
If you make it to the Super Bowl, you're most likely going to run into that guy up in Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes.
More than likely. Yep.
You know what I mean? Those are games that I look forward to, whether we win or lose them. Measuring stick to get better.
Yeah, and of course I'll be bringing you in later down the road of this year, and getting your picks and thoughts of those games as well. But yeah, same thing. I got it 28-17 in favor of the Buccaneers, and You've already hit it on all the points of why I feel that it may go that way. So
Yeah.
we go on next. Obviously, my Titans, they're hosting the Cardinals. And, you know me, I'm humble in wins, humble in defeats. Again, if we go 0-1, 1-0, it doesn't define how we are going to be for the season. I feel that this defense has taken a step forward with where we're wanting to be. Obviously, the addition of Julio Jones, it's going to be very monumental. And, when you have a deep vertical threat such as an A.J. Brown or now opposite in Julio Jones, it opens up the running room for Derrick Henry to do his thing. And so, Cardinals, you can't sleep on them, though. You got J.J. Watt that's coming in first season with the team, and he obviously knows the Titans very well, seeing them twice a year. And, Kyler Murray, he's very elusive. And if he gets out of the pocket and he's got open field, I mean, look what we do when we play against like Lamar Jackson. We can't seem to contain. And like what we were talking about earlier with your East Valley High School, the term of wrapping up and, getting those feet and the shoulders square. And when you have that elusive quarterback that you're trying to tackle, it makes it a nightmare. So I want to hear your take, Tennessee and Arizona.
Yeah, and I mean, real quick, it makes it a nightmare when we have a quarterback that's as good and as athletic as Kyler, but it also creates a nightmare situation when you have a deep threat in the threat that he has. When you could argue he has the best receiver in football. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You can throw it up. For me personally, you can throw it up between him and Devontae.
Yeah.
I won't fight you either or. I'll just say, hey, I don't blame you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Julio, I think if he can stay healthy, I think he's still in that top 5, top 3 receiver. I just think a lot of people forget how good Julio is because of how often he's getting injured. You know what I mean? And they see that he doesn't have as many touchdowns. But hey, like you throw this guy the ball and he catches it, he's gonna get you an extra 15, 20 yards after the catch.
And
he don't get it twisted. He's real good still.
Yeah, and not to mention, the Tennessee greats of Randy Moss on the Titans and Andre Johnson with the Titans. People forget that they were with Tennessee for a short stint time, but we're not getting Julio Jones in the later part of his career. Like I still feel, and this is the first time me getting excited over him, but I know what he can bring to that stadium and bring to that offense and how much of a dynamic weapon that he is. But at the same time, I really feel that if we're able to use him as a decoy, open up the field for an A.J. Brown 2 route with the slant, or even opening up the run game. But again, this is just 2 hard smashing defenses and the ground and pound. I mean, we can't sleep on Arizona's defense. And that NFC West NFC West is nothing to sleep through.
Not at all. Yeah, man. And you know what I mean? Julio, he gives you that extra threat out wide. Now they can't double AJ. They can't double Julio without giving something else up, right? Now, is that a chance that most defenses are willing to take? They just might. They might not want you to beat them deep. They might just want you to beat them down low. But again, it opens up the play action game a lot because now you have a legitimate, top 3, top 5 receiver out wide. And you got arguably the best running back in football in Derrick Henry, at least the most dominant running back in football. I mean, you just look at his size, what he's been able to do. I'm telling you, I still don't know how he fell so far back the way he did. Like people thought I was being a homer when he fell back, and I kept telling people he should have gone higher. And now those same people be like, oh, you know what? Maybe you were right. Maybe he should have gone higher. I'm like, you think? I mean, guy just led the league in rushing. Like, you think he should have gone higher? But I'm excited for the Titans, man. I'm excited for Julio. I'm excited for Derrick. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch that. I'm curious. I think in terms of the quarterback play, that's going to be key for your for your offense because now the pressure is going to be more on Tannehill. It's like, okay, you got a legitimate top 5 receiver out here. What are you going to do with it? Yeah, are you going to be throwing the ball to the other team? You're going to be scoring touchdowns for your team. You know what I mean? Limiting mistakes is going to be great. And again, that's why you have Derrick Henry. Yeah. You have that nice combination.
And the thing that I'm getting chills over is the fact that should you want to stack the box with 8 and try to stop Derrick Henry, who's going to be over the top on either AJ or Julio?
Exactly.
So, and both of them are still streaky fast and still can get on that go
Yeah.
route. And like you said,
Yeah.
it just opens up the play action. And so, of course, being biased, I'm going to say Tennessee is going to win every game, but that's just me. But realistically, I see 23-16 Tennessee over the Cards. What do you see it as?
I got a 24-20 Tennessee over Cardinals.
Okay.
24-20.
Very good, very good. Another big game to circle: Bills and Steelers. So I want you to start off with that one.
You know what I mean? This is a little bit more of like the fantasy football player in me.
Yeah.
I'm rooting a little bit for the Steelers because in one of my league I got their defense. So I'm hoping they pitch a shutout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hoping they pitch a shutout. But then I also got what's old boy's name? Stephon in another league. So if Stephon can go off for like 250, you know what I mean? But the defense pitches a shutout, I'll be happy. I can't complain.
Cool.
But it should be a good game. I'm curious to see what Roethlisberger still has left in the tank. I'm curious to see how that pans out for them. I really, really am. Because, I mean, he's just getting older and, you know, he's never been the most mobile guy in the world. He's had a lot of injuries. So I'm curious to see. The Steelers will go as far as he takes them still at the end of the day.
I mean, he was drafted in 1960 and he's still playing. And but you know, my opinion, I got a cousin that's a diehard Steeler fan, and Danny, shout out to you. But I see Bills rolling in this one. I also do have Pittsburgh in one of my fantasies for their defense, but surprisingly, I also picked up the Rams, so I'm gonna take the Rams defense against I forget who the Rams playing, the Bears. And
the Bears, there you go.
I just feel without Justin Fields starting for the Bears got no shot in that game. But we're talking about Bills and Steelers, and Josh Allen seems to be the front runner, if not co-front runner for MVP this season. The dude is just an absolute beast and a monster at his size and his stature. When you have your weapons such as Stephon and Cole Beasley and whoever knows who's going to be the running back of the Bills, I think
Singletary's a running back, right?
Singletary or Zach Moss, one of those two. They're going to be splitting carries. But this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you cannot sleep on them. I know that there's a lot of contract negotiations going on with TJ Watt where he's sitting out, and I would really hate to see TJ Watt sitting out week 1, but again, it's the nature of this industry. And when you have someone I'm sorry, Aaron Donald, I love you, but I really felt that TJ Watt definitely deserved the Defensive Player of the Year award last season. I felt he was robbed with that. If he is to be off the field, I see the Bills taking this by a short margin. I really like Najee Harris out of the backfield for the Steelers. Ben seems like he can still throw those little 2 slant routes or so. When you know, you can't sleep on Chase Claypool. You can't sleep on Juju. So you know, it's going to be a hard-nosed fought game, but I see it going Bills 28-24 over the Steelers. So let me hear your opinion.
I got a little bit because of the Steelers defense, I got a little bit closer. I got it 20-17 Bills.
Okay.
20-17 Bills. I think I think Josh Allen will still do his thing. I think Stephon will do his thing. But you know, I think that Steeler defense is going to do their thing. I think they're going to get some key stops. You know, granted they got issues they're dealing with, and but overall they got a good team as well. So we can't sleep on them. And hey, anything can happen on any given Sunday. I've learned that plenty of times rooting for the Cowboys. So anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Tennessee, the teams that we're supposed to beat, we don't, and the teams that like the Chiefs or the Bills, we beat, and it makes no sense to me. But all right, so moving along, another game that we had wanted to circle and talk about. the Los Angeles Chargers and the Washington football team. So I
Yes.
love the direction of where the Chargers are going. I think Justin Herbert, the dual threat quarterback out of Oregon, this is going to be his sophomore year. And I think he has a lot to prove and a lot of promise. In my opinion, I think Keenan Allen is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the game, and I feel that he's like the second coming of Jerry Rice, if he has not already proven that to you people already. Wake up and see how good Keenan Allen is. But the Chargers defense just got a whole lot better with Derwin James finally healthy, and it just makes it so exciting. Washington, you bring in Fitzmagic, you have the sleepers with Antonio Gibson, with the scary Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. So what do you like about this game?
Two things. I can see what Washington's going to be made of, because obviously that's a team that's in the Cowboys division. And I think has the biggest chance of taking that division outside of Dallas. I know a lot of people would say Philly, but I think that Washington is one competent and consistent quarterback away from winning the NFC East consistently. Because I have tremendous love and respect for that front seven they have. Defensively, man, they're a problem. You mentioned a couple of the nice pieces that they have offensively, man. I mean, I think that Washington should go out and get Cam Newton. That's what I think. Because, I mean, you want to talk about a quarterback that your coach knows.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a competent quarterback who's been to the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? He isn't what he was 6 years ago, but he's still a better quarterback than Fitzmagic is at this point in his career. He's still better than him, and he's a dual threat. Now, will his stance on like vaccines and things like that maybe impede that? They probably won't say it publicly, but I think it might. I mean, Ron Rivera's been pretty public about wishing 100% of his team was vaccinated. We know that he's had issues health-wise. I believe he battled cancer. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he battled cancer. So
defeated it too.
Yeah. So I completely understand where he's coming from. I completely understand. And then again, I mean, I'm going to the Cowboys Chargers game next week out here at SoFi. So I want to see Herbert. I like his game. It's funny because one of my boys, he would rave about him in college. Man, you're gonna love Herbert when he goes into the league. You're gonna love him, trust me. And I would always tell him, you're just being a homer, because he roots for that team. And now you see what he did last year, and it's like, okay, I might have to pick you up in fantasy.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the chance to take him, but I'm excited. I think I like Derwin James. You hit it right on point when you talked about Keenan Allen being severely underrated. I think it's primarily because he's with the Chargers that he's underrated. If he was with one, granted, the Chargers are in LA, but we all know the Chargers are like the Clippers, the Angels. They're the second team in LA. I mean, they're the little brothers.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the little brothers. I mean, I'd say even the Rams are the little brothers because when people think of LA football, they still think about the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like they still think about them.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a good game. I'm excited to see what Washington's defense is able to do against Herbert. I still think that the Chargers will pull it out. I'm thinking it'll go somewhere between 27-20 and 27-24. But I do think that Washington's defense is going to get him nicked up. I think they're going to get to him, and they have to make him uncomfortable. I think if they're able to get to him early, he's going to start rushing things and trying to make plays on his legs, which I think Washington will be able to handle as well. But I mean, hey, that's the difference between the Chargers and Washington, the quarterback play. Now, if you get Fitzmagic as opposed to Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, then we have a different deal, right? But you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. You just don't know. You might get the guy that throws 3 picks in the first quarter. You might get the guy that throws 3 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, and you're exactly right there. I think whoever's going to win the quarterback battle is going to be the winner of this game, but also the defense. This Washington defense is absolutely scary. Chase Young, Sweat, forgive me for not knowing the first name, Deron Payne, but this Washington defense, you cannot sleep on them whatsoever. And originally I had it Chargers 24-13. I think it's going to come down to potentially like a missed point. So I'm going to go 17-16 Chargers.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
about right.
Oh man, a big circular on the schedule. Chiefs and Browns. So tell me what you like about this game. Other than the obvious.
Love Patrick Mahomes. Let's put that out there. I think he's the best quarterback in the league by far. I don't think it's close really at this point. He just does things that are ridiculous, man. I mean, if he had some better tackles in that Super Bowl, there's no way in hell that the Chiefs lose. But I mean, you saw it all night long. I mean, Mahomes must have felt like he ran 10 miles by the end of that game because they were just chasing him all over the place, and he still was putting the ball in places where the receivers can catch it. I forgot who sacked him. I think it might have been JPP sacked him. And he threw it while he was going on the ground, and the ball hit the receiver like right in the face.
Yep.
It's like, dude, like, come on. Like, he just made the most impossible play. You just got to catch it.
Yep. Miko Hardman, but yeah, that's on you.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, Mahomes is just on another level. And I think he has arguably the best tight end in football in Kelsey. I think him and Kittle 1 and 2. And honestly, by the end of this year, we might be having the conversation of Kelsey and Darren Waller for best tight ends in football.
Absolutely. I would agree to that.
Yeah. That man, I mean, he can ball for sure. But the Browns, I think if they want to win this game, they're going to have to, establish the run game. They're going to really, really have to pound that football because they got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands as much as they possibly can. The less they have him out on the field, it's going to be harder for him to get in rhythm. It's going to be harder for the offensive line to be snapping. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you get a quick 3 and out, I mean, hey, and you're able to keep possession for 5-7 minutes, that's a completely different ball game. But I just think that Mahomes and that offense is going to come in and just pick them apart here and there, 5 yards here, 10 yards there, 5 yards here, etc. I just think that they're just too good of a team to lose to the Browns. But I'm curious to see the way that their offensive tackles play because, again, their O-line woes during the Super Bowl really, really hurt them. It really, really cost them. So I'm curious to see how they come out and try to protect Mahomes, if they're going to leave an extra blocker in there. I'm curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cleveland's defense, you can't sleep on either. They did pick up Jadeveon Clowney. They do got Myles Garrett. Their secondary is strong. But I just think Mahomes, when he has the time, I don't see Cleveland's defense being as good as Tampa Bay's or like a Washington football team kind of thing. So I think it's going to be a real fun game to watch. A lot of the fans are going to enjoy this one. I do have the Chiefs going 41-32 over Cleveland. I think Nick Chubb has a nice game on the ground only because I do have him in fantasy. So Chubb, do your thing.
I do too.
But I mean, ultimately, realistically, I think these two teams are both the exciting teams to watch in the NFL. The Chiefs have clearly proven that they're here to stay and they are for real. Cleveland still living up to their expectations. And again, it's only week 1. So should the Browns go down 0-1 after this game, there's still a lot of football to be played. And like you said, it's just iron sharpening iron when it comes to these big marquee matchups, especially your Cowboys. Should you lose or should you win into Tampa? It's only week 1. There's a lot of football left to be played. But I think 41-32 Chiefs over the Browns. What do you think the final is going to be?
I got a 34-17 Chiefs.
Okay.
34-17.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as well. So, all right, moving along, we got
watch every team that we picked against be the ones that beat the team we picked. We're gonna come back next week like, hey, this is why we're not professionals.
Yeah, exactly. So we go to the former starting quarterbacks of Alabama. We got the Dolphins and we got the Patriots. And across the board, there's a lot to like about these two matchups. We get to see Jalen Waddle suit up with the Dolphins. Obviously, we saw him for a play or two in the national championship game with Bama, but he's not the Bama person we're talking about. We're talking about Tua of the Dolphins, and we're talking about the newly
Mac
number one
Jones.
quarterback of the Patriots, and that is Mac Jones. Mac is spelled with 3 letters, just like Tom Brady, and Jones is spelled 5 letters, just like Brady. So I was talking about that on our podcast with the Patriots and Mr. Brandon Pessolano. So shout out to you. But obviously, there's a lot of shoes that Mac is needing to fill. But the mindset of the team, the mindset from him is just go out there and just play your game, and your team will get it done. Supporting you and everything, but. I think Tua right now, he's got a lot to prove. There's a lot of pressure that's behind him. The Dolphins obviously felt good enough. They passed up on Drew Brees way back when they said Drew Brees was going to be the next Dan Marino. And, Drew Brees went on to have the Hall of Fame career that he has had. But Tua, there's a lot of shoes to fill. But when you play for a coach like Brian Flores, there's a lot to be excited in Miami. I think Miami is going to be giving the Bills a nice little running for their money in the AFC East. I just don't see Miami being a team that they can just run right through. There's a lot of promise in Miami, but let me hear your take from these two teams, because I know you like your boy Mac.
Hey man, I like Tua. You know what I mean? Two
Tua.
Bama boys.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get that Bama quarterback game going. You know what I mean? I think Mac Jones. This was the perfect place for him to land with this specific coach.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought, okay, if he doesn't land with the Patriots, I think he should land with San Francisco.
Yep.
Because of that run game they can establish out there, right? They got a nice offensive line. They got Kittle. You know what I mean? They got a couple nice receivers out there. I just think that would have been an ideal situation for him from a talent perspective around him.
Yeah.
Right? Now, with New England, sure, they don't have the roster that San Francisco has, but they do have arguably the greatest coach of all time.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And he knows what it takes to get to the mountaintop. He knows what it's like to coach arguably the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of Mac's qualities are qualities that Belichick is going to love. I'm excited to see him throw. I believe they signed Hunter Henry this offseason, right? To a 4-year deal.
As well as Jonnu Smith from the Titans
exactly.
as well.
And I got both of those guys on different fantasy teams. So, Mac, if you ever listen to this, man, you better throw to both of them boys, because they might help me out.
I mean, also, I hate to interrupt you, but I mean, that's what got it done with Tom Brady and the Patriots under Bill Belichick. You have Aaron Hernandez, and when you had Rob Gronkowski, and both of them were raw during their time, and you saw those fantasy points because of how open they got and their size and their ability. You got a speedster in Jonnu Smith that's very shifty and can get you those 5 to 7 to 10 yard gains. And then you got Hunter Henry, who's just a big body and can run those posts, who can run, the quick 9 route and just hit that on the dime. And, when you have a quarterback that has these type of weapons, it's hard not to succeed.
Yeah. And I mean, if they can establish that run game, that'll be big for him, right? That'll be big. And I think they still have N'Keal Harry out wide. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they still have him out wide. So he's got a couple weapons. Like, nobody's going to say, hey, Mac has top 5 weapons at his disposal, right? But
Jacoby Myers.
He has a solid Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
He doesn't have no Julio or Devontae Adams out wide, Tyreek Hill. But I think he has solid pieces. I think he'll surprise a lot of people. I think that there's a lot of hate that goes towards Alabama players.
Yeah.
Specifically when it comes to quarterbacks, they haven't had the greatest reputation. But I mean, hey, like Tua, great kid, you know what I mean? Very humble, says all the right things. People tend to hate him just because Bama. I mean, there really isn't no other reason to hate his game. But I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that he does well. I think Byron Jones is still in that secondary for Miami. So that's a former Cowboy right there, man. And I love him. So I'm rooting for Mac, but I won't be mad if Tua gets a win. It's a
Yeah.
win-win for me either way.
And for me, I see the Dolphins taking this one, and the main reason why I say that is because Stephon Gilmore of the Patriots is out for
It's out.
6 weeks. And
Yeah.
when you have a Jalen Waddle that you can throw to over the top, when you have a Mike Gesicki, when obviously Will Fuller's not playing, but when you have those type of weapons, like I said, you can't sleep on the Dolphins. And
Yeah.
really quick, I'm going to get a lot of backlash, I'm sure, for this, but yeah, for whatever reason, these Bama quarterbacks, and when they go to the next level, it doesn't pan out for them. And a quarterback that I feel had never really got his shot was AJ McCarron. And even in
Yes.
the boo-boo system that Cincinnati was and has been, they never gave him a shot. And I believe it
And
was,
all
I
he
think,
did was win.
yeah,
All he did was win.
yeah, and it's just a shame, to be honest, especially
Yeah.
with how he went down. But we'll see how these Bama quarterbacks play out. Obviously
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts got outplayed during the summer ball by Tua, and Jalen went off to Oklahoma, and
Right.
now Jalen's the starting quarterback for your very
Philly.
friendly Philly, and
And
obviously.
and they got a great receiver out wide now.
Yep. And
Heisman.
Devontae Slim Reaper, the
Devontae.
Heisman. So, all
Yeah.
right, how do you see this Dolphins Patriots going?
You know what? I think the overall team is going to be a little bit better for Miami. I think that they're going to take a close one. I'm going to take Miami at 20-17.
Okay. I've got a 24-17 Miami, so we're right on the same page with that. Very close game. I think it's going to be decided by one score, and it's just going to be
Yep.
exciting to see. And what I'm mostly excited to see, because obviously me and my jerseys, but nice little jersey swap between Tua and Max, so that's going to be good to see. So
Yep.
last game that we can talk about, clearly this would have been the headliner for 2 centuries, obviously. No more Drew Brees with the Saints, but you got the Packers and the Saints, and all the drama that was around Aaron Rodgers this offseason. I still don't think it's going to slow his game going into Nolans, and actually no, they're playing in Jacksonville, so because of Hurricane Ida, and shout
Yeah.
out to everyone, prayers and safety out to you guys out there. But I you had a 30-30 quarterback a couple of years removed in Jameis Winston, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. The dude did throw for like 500 yards like every other game, it
Yeah.
seemed like, with Tampa. So no Michael Thomas. I think Callaway is like their number one guy right now for the Saints.
I think they just
Frankie,
cut Latavius Murray yesterday.
and they just cut Latavius Murray, and forgive me for not knowing this complete offense, but when it's completely surrounded by Alvin Kamara, again, the dude can only do so much. I do not see them getting past this wonderful defense in the Packers. I think the Packers will go down into Jacksonville against the home team of the Saints and roll right through them. People have me absolutely wrong, but again, we're all doing this for fun. We're not paid doing this, at least I'm not. But I really see the Packers going 40-24, if not more, over the Saints. How do you see it?
I got it 37-17.
Okay.
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and have a hell of a year. They still got Devontae. They got other nice pieces around him. I think Aaron has a lot of proof to people.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that still tend to doubt him because he hasn't had multiple Super Bowl trips.
Yeah.
I think they want to call him a one-hit wonder, which football. Aaron Rodgers was doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing now before Patrick Mahomes. I mean, people forget that Aaron Rodgers still has one of the best arms in the league.
Absolutely.
He's just getting a little bit older. He's had a couple of injuries here and there. I think he had a broken collarbone a couple of years back. Yeah. I mean, he's still a top 5 quarterback. Don't get it twisted. My order for me personally would be Mahomes, and you can flip-flop Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers for 2 and 3.
Absolutely.
That's my top 3 right there, personally.
Yeah.
Where 4 and 5, I would throw in maybe a Josh Allen, and you can obviously still throw in Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
because he is defending Super Bowl champion. I think he threw like for 40 touchdowns last year, something like that. So
Yeah.
we got nice pieces. So I'm excited for this season overall. I think it'll be fun. It's gonna be great to have fans in the stands again because, man, it's just a different atmosphere out there.
Yeah.
I know when I went to Dallas, I had a blast, man. It was against the Vikings, so I had a great time just vibing out with everybody. I got there like 3 hours before the game, so
Yeah.
taking a drink here, taking a drink there, walking around. They got a big old band just marching down. It's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty awesome. So I'm glad that fans are back, and I'll be one of those fans that's in the stands at SoFi Stadium
Yeah.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you're going out week 2. I really wanted to go up to Seattle week 2 against the Titans and Seahawks, but I will be out at SoFi. I believe it's like week 14 or something like that against the Rams.
Nice.
So it's going to be great. And like you said, fans are back now. I know that a lot of these teams feed off of the energy of the crowd, and
100%.
it's going to be good. But we're just a couple hours away from kickoff. You got your Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and dude, it's so exciting. And again, I know we'll be seeing you here on the show here very soon, and yeah, just I cannot wait. So and anything else you'd like to say?
Hey, we them boys, man. Go Cowboys. Dak, take us to the promised land, baby. Take us to the promised land.
There you
And
go.
then Jerry, take me and Solomon out to Whataburger because that's the one thing I didn't try when I went to Dallas, and I kind of regret it now. I was just too full from the barbecue ribs. Texas barbecue, too good, man.
There's
They
actually
don't lie when they tell you everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh, I've been there, and it's amazing. But there's a Whataburger in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll check that out. But until then, that's Luis. I'm Solomon. This is week 1 for Profiling Passionate People. Peace.
We them boys, baby. We them boys.